Thank you guys for tuning into the channel today. Pretty excited to finally bring you this video. This is going to be the reveal of my Redcat RDS rear-wheel drive drift car kit. And for you guys that are already subscribed to the channel, follow the channel, you know I opted to build a police car drift car. So I felt like everything went really nice. I got the sirens in, I got the lights in. So without further ado, check it out. And was able to put the paint on. The paint went nice. Got some decals on and lights, siren. I feel like the decals turned out good from a scale perspective. But yeah, this Camaro looks pretty sweet. And for you guys that follow the channel, I had a link of this Camaro body in one of my videos. I will try to put it in this video as well. If you're looking for a nice scale body that fits the Redcat RDS, the Camaro fit pretty well with, maybe just a few modifications since I wanted to run magnets to get that to work. I did have to trim the fenders a little bit in the front to get the, with a drift car, the steering angle is pretty significant, to make sure nothing was rubbing on the body. But like I said, minimal trimming there, which I was pretty excited about, and then no trimming at all on the rear. But we're going to take a closer look at the kit and the build and talk through some of the issues I had with kind of final installation of my electronics. And I now have a different servo in there. We'll talk about that, and kind of wanted to look at the kit and kind of my own fault on some of the electronics, and also talk through, I have everything linked up to my Fly Sky Noble MB4 Plus radio. That includes the lights and the siren, and even the gyro is all hooked up to this. And this is my first drift car build, so a little bit of a learning curve. And if you guys have any helpful comments out there that are into drift, please leave them in the description below, and that would be a help to me. But let's take a closer look. We'll look at it top down and talk through some things. Stay tuned. Thank you guys for staying tuned to the channel. Let's have a closer look at my police car build. And as you can see, pretty sweet, having that top down view. The Camaro body turned out nice. As I said earlier, just kind of minimal trimming along the front fenders there to get everything where it should be and turning correctly. If we pop the hood here, kind of show you where everything is installed. I was able to put my siren right there mounted to the chassis, and that way only the wire for the lights is actually mounted on the body. In my earlier videos, you guys kind of saw how I went about mounting these magnets, and these magnets are just double-sided taped to the body there. And they're the cheaper Amazon magnets, but they seem to be working out pretty good so far. As you can see, got a little wear on my tires. Been playing with this thing a little bit, experimenting with it. So stay tuned for some running video. But let's go ahead and turn my radio on. And I'll turn my ESC on as well. And as far as electronics and all that, I will link my previous videos in the description below so you guys can check those out. But got my gyro mounted right there. And let me drop the body back on. And as you can see, gyro is working just fine. And you are able to hook that gyro up right here. And that is to channel 3. As you can see, and you can, change the rate at which the gyro works. So like if I put it on 0 here, it's not going to move at all. As you see, as I move the car, the wheels aren't moving. But if I turn the rate up there, you can see the front tires move. So you are able to adjust that using this Fly Sky Noble MB4 Plus, and Roadside RC does a really good video on how to do that and use that GYD 470 Futaba gyro with this radio. So maybe I'll put a link to his video in the description below. But that worked out. And the other thing I did is I have my lights and siren programmed to channel 4. And also in a previous video, I kind of showed how you go about programming that in the receiver to this radio. But let's hit this button. And check it out. Go ahead and turn that off. I'm sure you guys don't want to listen to that for the remainder of the video. But have it all linked up to channel 4 there. And maybe I'll do some future videos on how to, you know, get stuff working on the Noble NB4 Plus. This is an awesome radio. I love it so far. And just the amount of adjustments you can make to your RC cars, it's pretty limitless. I forget how many channels this thing has and whatnot. Even these buttons on the side there and these dials right here can all do different things on RC cars, which is pretty neat. This does have an on and off switch for the siren if you just wanted to run the lights, which I think is pretty nice. I know there's a lot of wiring going on there, but I might clean it up later. Not too sure. But as you can see, I will put a link to the description of all my electronics below. And speaking of electronics, this is something I wanted to talk about. And I'm going to unplug that right there to make this a little bit easier to handle. So I had originally bought a high-tech DB777. And that is a really high-speed turbo or high-speed servo for, you know, this drift car. I wanted the steering to be very active, right? Especially if you're using the gyro to correct the drift, you know. I wanted a high-speed servo. I spent a lot of money on that servo, but as I was installing it into the truck, the first thing that happened was when I was testing is the stock servo horn, the plastic one, stripped. And it's kind of my own fault. And I've went ahead and ordered the aluminum servo horn. They do make that. But how it was my fault was kind of the manual is not really clear on what to do when installing this servo. The manual is calling for this little plate here. Well, when I put the plate on, unknowing to me, when I turned, as you can see, let me see if I can simulate this and you guys can see it. But when I turned, you see how close that, let me get something to point with. This little piece right here, if you have a plate in between those two pieces, this piece right here was rubbing this piece right here. This plastic piece that holds your servo. So I didn't know it with the DB777 servo that it was rubbing. Like I had missed that detail. As you can see, without that plate, this sits further down. So as I turn the wheels, it's not touching at all. So be careful what servo you use and if you need that plate that's called out in the manual or not. So needless to say, the steering was working, I thought, but it was rubbing just enough to where I wound up burning up that servo. So kind of a mistake on my part. And I went with this EcoPower WP115T because I didn't want to spend that kind of money on another servo for this build, unfortunately. But the speed and specs on this servo are pretty nice. You can run all the way up to 8.4 volts. And I'm just running 6 volts because that's all my electronics kind of allow me to have. But I was trying to get the speed for you right here. So even at 6 volts, you're at 0.10 seconds. So, I mean, that's really good as far as speed goes, even though this is like a $40 servo. So pretty good value there. And as you'll see later, I feel like everything has worked really well. The next issue I had was the servo thing is killing me. I had a little bit too long of a screw in the servo horn to the servo, and that was allowing just a little bit of play that I didn't really knew existed until I was drifting. So like, as you can see in all the running video that I have so far, like the tail or the back of the car wants to wag a little bit, but I think with putting a shorter screw in there to where it's not bottoming out and that servo horn all the way up, I think that's going to resolve my issue with that. It's very minute, and you can kind of see it in the video. And I was thinking, well, maybe it was the gyro. I got something wrong with the gyro, because it's a little bit hard to get that, you know, for a newbie like me who's just getting into drift, kind of first time experience working on a gyro. It was hard for me to kind of get all that figured out. Thank goodness for YouTube and some of the helpful videos. I had actually ordered this. And I don't even know if you guys know that they make this, but this is a INR4-GYB, and this is a fly sky receiver with a built-in gyro. I don't know how it works. I might try this out in a later video once I get, you know, more comfortable drifting and knowing what I'm doing anyway, because right now I don't want to make any changes. I'll just get to where I feel like I'm pretty comfortable drifting, and then maybe make a change to see if it makes a difference. Right now, I think if I put this in, I wouldn't, with my inexperience, I'm not going to know if it's any much different than the GYD 470. But those were the kind of things I wanted to talk about. If you're building this kit, just be sure and watch for, turn back to the page there. Make sure you get that spacing on this servo horn right. It's kind of a janky servo horn, but that's kind of my only complaint with the build so far. And other than that, I feel like it's a really nice quality kit. And everything other than that has went really well. Even the body, and being able to mount the body, and the amount of kind of things that the kit comes with, that you're able to make that happen. So let's take a look at some running video. And just thank you guys so much that continue to watch my videos and have liked and subscribed. If you want more RC content, please consider liking and subscribing. I do a lot of racing. This was my first drift build, but hopefully the weather's getting nice to be able to do some outdoor racing pretty soon. But yeah, let's check out some running video, and I'll probably end it with that. But thank you all for watching.
it.